What do you really think Purdue is going to be like next year without Zach Edey? I know that Purdue fans are like, oh, we're going to be great. We've got all these starters come back. And I'm from a completely neutral standpoint, I'm like, I'm going to repeat Diana Taurasi on Caitlin Clark. Reality is coming. Now, having the most dominant player in college for over the last 4 decades, probably for 2 years, and then not having him is going to leave a bigger void than I think most people think, because I think it is going to allow more exposure on everything else. It's a little hard. It's harder to focus on the guards, on Brayton Smith, or Lawyer or whomever, when you've got to deal with that thing and that you had to deal with in the middle. But now that's not going to be there, and it's going to be a completely different offense, basically. Not completely different, but it's going to be a majorly different offense without being able to throw it into the big boy.
Yeah, I'm really not concerned about Purdue's offense. I think Purdue brings back the best guard in the Big Ten. I think Braden Smith is going to have a lot of options. I think while Trey Kaufman-Renn is not Zach Edey, he is still the best post presence in the Big Ten. When they need some points down there. Offensively?
That's saying
is it?
A lot.
Who else is good scoring? Who else is good scoring in the post in the Big Ten?
Well, next year I'll tell you. Oh, well, I don't know.
I watched Omar. He is not a better post presence.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, to say that Trey Kaufman-Renn is the best scoring option in the post in the Big Ten is, I think that's a little overzealous, to say the least.
Who are you putting above him?
I don't know who everyone's added, but he did not strike me as, just based on his play, as someone that I'm going to call the best post presence in the Big Ten. That would be rather shocking for me to be the case. I don't know how. I don't know that he's going to be able to dominate. I mean, you were talking about what is he, 6'8"?
6'9", 6'10". He has no problem like one-on-one scoring in the post at all.
No, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong.
The one time he scored, like, that's what he does. That's the one thing he is like particularly special at. I think defensively, Purdue's going to struggle a lot. I think they relied on Zach Edey to do a whole bunch at the rim, and that's something Trey doesn't do. But in terms of just like scoring in the post, he's got a huge bag. He's big. He's quick. He moves well. Like, he is going to score a lot of points. He's going to get chances. And he is still paired with the best point guard in the Big Ten. And there's a lot of moving pieces around Smith that are good, that can shoot. There's going to be more shooting everywhere. There's going to be more athleticism. I don't think, if we look at Purdue's season, after next year and say, oh, that was a little disappointing, it's not going to be points. It's going to be defensively. They're still small. They're obviously bringing in bigger guys, but they're relying on a lot of freshmen that are going to have to do a lot. And that's always precarious, especially when you need them to do stuff on the defensive end. But I definitely think Trey has the ability to be a 15 to 20 point scorer in a game, pretty consistently. One game in the last two, like, he's been miscast as a power forward. He is a center on offense. He needs that post space, and he never really had it with Edey. Streaky shooter inside. When he gets one going, he gets going. Illinois game, I think he had 20 plus. The one game Zach Edey was out for an illness 2 years ago, scored 20 plus. I don't worry about that side of the ball, but defensively with guys like Smith and Lawyer, they really, really relied on Edey just cutting the paint off. Not having that, I don't know what the exact answer is. But I do think there's a chance that Purdue has guys like Camden Heine, Colvin, Caden Catchings, who can offer some rim protection from the wing that makes them interesting. It's always precarious to lean on a freshman or two, but I think Jakari Harris is a legit play next to Smith, play next to Lawyer, play next to everyone else to guard. I think he'll fill the Lance Jones role pretty admirably. So I would be shocked if Purdue's not at the top of the Big Ten again.
Yeah, I'm going to be very shocked if Purdue's at the top of the Big Ten. Personally, I don't see them finishing in the top 3. But
who do you think has improved that much in the Big Ten?
Well, first of all, here's the thing. This is way too early because the closest team that right now that I am to follow would be Indiana, of course, knowing more about their roster. But I don't know enough about everybody else at the moment because after the portal, who's done what, who's got what coming back, it's going to take a while for that to kind of sift out. So I don't know. I don't have an opinion yet on who's going to be at the top. I just don't see there any way possible that without Zach Edey, that Purdue is going to do the things that a lot of Purdue fans think.
You don't believe in Braden Smith as the number 1 player on the team?
I think that's going to have to be proven to be the case without having Zach Edey.
Even though he's already been a starter for
that's irrelevant to me.
It's irrelevant that he led a team to the national title as a sophomore.
It's irrelevant to me that because he led a team with a national title that had the number 1 player in college basketball for the last 2 years, and he no longer has that. He had the most dominant player in college basketball of the last 30 years probably, and no longer has that. So that's a guy that you can count on and get out of trouble a lot. Now, that security blanket is not there. So there's going to be a little more pressure on him. I'm not saying that he's going to fall apart. I'm just saying that I have to see it first. I have to see everything. I don't, Indiana's added a lot. I don't know what they're going to really be like though. Are they going to be able to gel? Are they going to be able to find the shooting that they need for sure? How is their substitutions going to work? So it's just way too early, and I definitely just don't have that confidence as of right now. But I surely don't. I absolutely don't think that Trey Coppin-Wren is going to be the best power post presence in the Big Ten. There is just absolutely. I would be shocked, and if I'm wrong, and I'll say it. It's not a bias. I just don't see him as being this dominant post presence. A good player, absolutely. And same with Smith. He's proven himself to be a good player. And I'm not saying anything about that him not being good, not being extraordinarily successful, but we're talking about the top. And I'm just saying I'm just going to have to wait and see on that because I don't see that. But I couldn't tell you who I think the number 1 team is right now. I'll promise you that. I don't know. Ohio State was making a great run. They made some great additions. You get the Bradshaw kid from Kentucky, Illinois. They lost a ton, but Bradshaw Underwood has done a good job of usually replacing that stuff, but they've lost a lot. What's Michigan State going to be like? What's Maryland going to be like? Rutgers has a great class coming in. What are they going to be like? Am I leaving anybody out that we don't know that are thinking?
I mean, Michigan's brand new with Drake or with May.
There you go.
Nebraska's brand new, kind of.
And Nebraska's on the rise, though. Nebraska's been on the rise. Can they continue that? I think that it's going to be a very, very fun, enjoyable run now that Zach Edey's gone. Zach Edey was an anomaly that I hate was there because it changes things so much. It's weirdly in a way that doesn't come along it's generational. But so I think it's going to be. I think it's kind of open, to be honest with you.
What do you think Edey changed? Because it was a bad Big Ten. Regardless if Edey was there or not, it was a bad Big Ten.
There's not a doubt to that question, that statement. I don't disagree with that. Just because he was so dominant. I mean, he was just a freakishly dominant player. What do you do? What the hell do you do with him?
I just think
UConn didn't stop him. What they did was stop Purdue's perimeter game. And that's Purdue's Achilles heel. If you can shut that down, you shut them down. You shut anybody down, because if you're shutting down the 3-2 ratio, well, you've already benefited yourself, and that's exactly what they did. But that also goes to show that even in the late stages of their second year, Lawyer and Smith were nowhere to be seen. Purdue was only able to even get off 7 total 3-point shots in the entire game. That's usually the first 10 minutes for Purdue, who was the number 1 3-pointing shooting team in the conference.
Yeah, and it'll be harder to do that to Purdue this year.
Why? You don't have Zach Edey to deal with.
It's going to be harder to shut the perimeter down. Miles Colvin and Camden Heide will make some advancements. It's their second year. First time they had stuff. Cannon Catchings is an absolute game changer. His size, his ability to move and shoot on the perimeter. Even if you have NBA bodies like UConn has,
Heidi's great. Heidi was
Cannon Catchings is a potential lottery pick. Like, you're not just shutting him down.
Really?
And I think Jakari Harris.
Do you think he's going to be one and done?
I don't think he's one and done. I think he's probably 2 and done. But when he's done, it's going to be because he is a high NBA draft pick. I think there's some work away from the court that needs to be done there. But like on court, he is 6'8" and the most fluid athlete for Purdue. And that's kind of what they miss. Because even Miles Colvin, who's a great athlete, he's not super fluid. He doesn't move in a graceful manner that gets him open looks and stuff. He's more power and jumping and a good jump shot. Kanan can score off the ball, can move. He just gets wherever he wants. And I think Jakari Harris is a balanced, strong, smart guard that's going to fit perfectly next to Braden Smith. So I think when you add those pieces and those younger guys get a little more confident, I think Braden Smith's going to have a big jump this year. So I think when you throw that, it gets harder to defend on the perimeter. Those guys are all going to be better. There's going to be more things to try to have to stop out there. Obviously, the loss of Edey is, again, defensively especially, but there's a lot of easy to mess up. But I do think the pieces around Braden are more varied and more explosive and athletic this season.
I will definitely say that Purdue will be a much more athletic team. And which will allow them to do things that they really couldn't do with Edey. He's
well, it's not even allowed to do with Edey. You just don't want to, because
he is what he is. Well, you don't need to. Just like I said, throw it into Edey and let him dunk. He's got a standing reach that is 5 inches short of the rim. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and thank you for enjoying our content and videos. And make sure you hit that subscribe and notifications toggle so you don't miss out on anything, whether it's Indiana Hoosiers, the Boilers, the Colts, the Pacers, Indiana high school action, whatever's happening in sports. We're trying to bring it all to you, and make sure you don't miss out on a thing. Again, hit the subscribe button for us. Helps us out a ton. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much.